Namaste all. Welcome to the Youth Meet. So shortly we'll have an inspiring talk by Swami Narasimhananda on the topic peer pressure, insecurities and FOMO. How do we overcome? So before we begin, just wanted to share a few words about Swamiji. Swami Narasimhananda is a monk of the Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission founded by Swami Vivekananda in 1897 and is presently the secretary of Ramakrishna Mission Sevashrama, Kozhikode, Kerala, and runs a higher secondary school, kindergarten, and a polyclinic. Swamiji is a former editor of Prabuddha Bharata, an English monthly journal of the humanities and social sciences started by Swami Vivekananda in 1896. He regularly speaks at institutions of national importance like the IITs on Indian philosophy, culture, and Swami Vivekananda. He has edited a volume of Swami Vivekananda's teachings titled Vivekananda Reader. He's also a member of International Interdisciplinary and Interreligious Research Group on Consciousness Studies, UNESCO Chair in Bioethics and Human Rights, Italy, as well as being a member of the Executive Council HNET, Humanities and Social Sciences Online. Swamiji is also a member of the editorial board, Reading Religion, American Academy of Religion. He specializes in Indian studies, Indian philosophy, sociology of religion, philosophy of religion, and religious studies. He has publications in Hindi, English, Sanskrit, Malayalam, Bengali, and Tamil. Over to you, Swamiji.
So now we are unable to live stream it, right? Live streaming is not happening, I think.
Yeah, there are some technical issues, Swamiji. So
we are unable to live stream. But anyway, this is being recorded, so it will be available on the YouTube. Oh. A very good evening to all of you. And we have gathered here to explore ways to manage what is commonly today known as FOMO, fear of missing out, which is also a cause for insecurity in a big way. And it also, of course, as the name suggests itself, it is a cause for peer pressure. And peer pressure itself is connected to FOMO, fear of missing out. So in the beginning, we shall try to define this. Fear of missing out is state of mind when a person is afraid that one would not know certain things or would not be updated on certain things if she or he does not visit a particular social networking website or a social networking profile. So this is essentially what the condition is. And recently, psychological associations across the world have considered, or they have many associations, they have classified this as a psychological problem, psychological ailment. So we want to see whether it is possible to find out a way to cope with this FOMO. And because this is a very recent thing comparatively, we would like it to be more interactive, as interactive as it is possible. Certain common things we have to see. Now, for example, if we are convinced that we don't need to bother about what other people are doing, then this problem can be easily managed. So if we were to ask ourselves the question, how many people who have left a mark in human history were actually thinking of what others were doing and comparing their condition or their status or their place in life with others around them? So Obviously, we know the answer that none, almost none who have left a place in the history of humankind, whom we look up to, have bothered to see or always compare notes with others in a negative sense. When I say compare notes in a negative sense, they haven't really thought so much of what others are doing, or my friend is successful, I am not successful. This kind of a very negative, a kind of a depressing comparing of notes that these people, great people of history, even recent past, have not done. So that gives us the answer that if I have to be successful in any area of life, first I need to be sure of what I am doing. Sure, not in the sense that I will not fail, but sure in the sense that this is my ideal. So there should be a goal, fixing of goal. And it's quite amazing, quite unfortunate also, that most people, they don't have this kind of a goal. So breaking our life goals into short-term goals, long-term goals, goals which I have to achieve, say, within a week, within a month, within a quarter, within a half year, etc., helps. This kind of an attitude helps. So another thing is, we have to concentrate on what is unique in us. What is unique in us? Everyone has some unique aspect, and that is not there in other people. No matter how intelligent they are, no matter how accomplished they don't have that aspect which we have. And another important thing is to understand that one cannot have it all. The problem with today is 2022 is that we are exposed to a large number of alternatives, which was not the case earlier. Say, even a couple of decades earlier, that was definitely not the case. So when you are when you're bombarded with different kinds of alternatives, so you can do this, you can do that. And when it becomes comparatively easier because of technology, because of accessibility, to try all those possibilities, then it becomes much more difficult to restrict yourself to a particular area. So that is what has happened today. It is easy for one to do many things at the same time. But scientists tell us that our human brain is not ready for multitasking. And so we can really not do many things at the same time. It is not simply possible. But still we think that we are doing multitasking. And so this multitasking, not having a goal, and also not coming to terms with the fact that one cannot do everything in life, these are the main causes or the main factors which lead to this fear of missing out. Now, fear of missing out, we should not belittle, or we should not think light of this particular mental state, because it leads to a very great depression. It leads to different kinds of physical discomfort. And so this is a serious thing, and it is becoming much more pronounced in young children. So it is a serious thing. And so definitely our identifying ourselves with our social persona, our social media persona, or our social networking persona, is something which we have to completely go beyond. We have to work around that issue. So what we appear on the internet is definitely not our true personality. This is something which we have to come to terms with, which we have to understand. And so in this whole thing, the first thing which Swami Vivekananda said, that if a person who has an ideal fails 1000 times, a person without an ideal will fail 10,000 times. So this goal fixing and having clarity. And also another important thing is to be forgiving. Now, when we talk about forgiveness, we always think that it is related to other people. The first and most important forgiveness is related to ourselves. So we have to be forgiving to ourselves. So we have probably set some target, set some goal, and we are striving hard to achieve that. And because we are all human beings, we definitely would have human failings. And suppose we have not been able to achieve that, then what we do is we become very hard on ourselves. We take ourselves to task. First of all, mentally lamenting that I am unable to do this, thinking about it over and again, and not going forward with that. Wherever we are blocked, wherever we are stopped, wherever we have failed, not going forward with that, but just getting caught up there. And so first we have to learn to forgive ourselves. It's a very important thing. And another thing which is very important in dealing with peer pressure, insecurity, etc., is physical and mental rest, which is very important. It is seen that India is probably one of the countries where we have the most sleep deprived population on this planet. So we need to properly sleep. And if one looks at the treatment methods conventionally followed by psychologists or psychiatrists, the first one is to induce sleep by giving medication. So to have sleep and to have a proper daily cycle of working, and one cannot, we are living in times when one cannot totally do away with working in the night time, night shift and all that. But to ensure that that kind of working has the least bad effect on our body and mind, that's very important. That's very important. So we need to take care of this rest. Some years ago, it was found that people were not being bored at all today, because people had so much of content on the internet to engage themselves with. Whether it was a meaningful engagement or not, we don't know. But mostly it is not a meaningful or a fruitful engagement, an engagement which leads you to achieve some purpose in your life, some goals in your life. But still people were engaging. And because that is seemingly like unending content, particularly like you have in the field of entertainment also, there is so much of content available, and you have one video ends and before that you have the another video lined up for you to see. And so this kind of a condition has led to a very funny situation where we are not bored. And so while we might be thinking that it is a good thing, it is not. So the creativity aspect has been probably sapped out of us. It has been completely removed from us. There are many creative people, of course, but most of us are not bored. And so we don't have time to ponder about bigger questions of life. So it's like, it's just going on. You're just like you're on some conveyor belt, just like in factories where a conveyor belt, they will put something and it will go to some other place. There, some other person will attend to it. So we are just being pulled by the society, by peers, peer groups. And so we don't have a clear-cut understanding of what we are doing. So this kind of a situation leads to automatically banking on others for identity. So the very fact who I am or what is my identity is dependent on others, how others perceive me. And that is when this fear of missing out or peer pressure becomes a big problem. And peer pressure cannot be completely avoided. Also, one needs to also have a tab on what is going on around oneself. That also cannot be completely avoided. But then that definitely should not lead to such a miserable condition that I am not able to do my daily task, or I go into depression. I am unable to cope with the pressure which I have to deal, etc. So mainly these three things. One is to set goal, the 3 or 4 things. Set goal, and second one is to have rest properly, and not to indulge in multitasking so much. Focus on one task and finish it, do it properly, and then go to another task. So such kind of attitudes help us to cope with these problems. Also, to have proper friends. It's also interesting that nowadays very few people have true friends, like where you can open up to 1 or 2 people. You have, say, 3 or 4 people with whom you can open up, because the modes of friendship have increasingly become online. And so online friends, they are very volatile. You keep on changing, or the friends who are active keep on changing. Active friends keep on changing. So this has led to a very peculiar situation now. And another thing we have to also understand is that this, whatever we're discussing today, though we are calling it youth meeting, etc., but peer pressure or fear of missing out is not just the problem of youth. There are many people who are old, who saw the technology much later, but they have got addicted to it, and also they feel that they are missing out. And sometimes it is also very painful for them, because they think they are also missing it out due to the generation gap, due to the digital divide, so to say. So they don't know how to operate social media networks or social media apps, social networking. So that is why they are unable to keep up with the pace of their children or their young co-workers, etc. So here, this particular, what we are talking about, how to deal with insecurity, comes when I am clear that this is what I want from life. So again, that is one more point which we just saw, that one cannot have everything in life. One cannot do everything in life. So one has to focus on a particular area and be content with, means they have to try to excel in that particular area. So for that, again, we need goal setting. We need proper rest. We need boredom. It might come quite funny when put it like that, but we definitely need boredom. We need to get bored, and we also need a particular understanding of ourselves. What are the areas where I excel? What are the areas where I don't so much excel? What are the areas where I am really bad? It's better to avoid those areas and go ahead. And if those areas are such that they need to be, you need to have some, for example, if somebody has problem with, say, maps, that is something which they have to have, because sometime you need to use a map. So you try to find a way in which you have a basic or a minimum kind of training in that aspect, and then you follow that aspect. Otherwise, leave that aspect, because whatever is weak, wherever you are weak, it's better to just ignore it. That is the idea. So it all boils down to having an understanding of who I am. And I'm not necessarily meaning it as a spiritual question, but more like a psychological question. Who I am, what am I, and who is there who is more important to me. So there is like this test where we can call it an earthquake test. So suppose suddenly you know that there is earthquake, and then you are caught inside a building, and you are told that you have to get out because it's a huge earthquake and everything is going to be destroyed. what are the things you will be taking, or who are the people who will be taking with you? And so who are the people you will be concerned about, like what's happened to that person, whether she or he is safe. So those are the people and the things which you have to concentrate. And if you concentrate on those things, then automatically your life will chart its own course if you have a goal. That is very important. So I think now, Smriti, is it possible to take questions or something? Because it should be more interactive. That's the point.
Yes, Swamiji, we can have the Q&A session.
Yeah. So if anyone has anything to ask or to share or anything.
Hello, Swamiji. My name is Raviteja. I have a question.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask, like, how we know about ourselves. So what questions we need to ask to know more about ourselves?
So first test is this, what I call earthquake test. So one needs to think this, that what is the thing which I will take with me if there is a sudden information that there is an earthquake. That's one thing. Second thing is, you know what you like in life. So one can put them in certain categories. Say, what do you like to do when you are free? What do you like to do in terms of service to others? What do you like to do in terms of learning? What do you like to do in terms of earning money? Means, how do you want to earn money? Money is required. So how do you want that to come? So do you want to earn money using something where you create something? Do you want to earn money where you sell something? Do you want to earn money where you manufacture something? So these kind of questions. So one needs to ask oneself, and then write it on a piece of paper and think about it. And what kind of a person you are? Would you characterize yourself as a person who wants to lead others, who is a natural leader? Would you like to characterize yourself as a person who wants to be part of a group, might not be the group leader, like that? So your personality traits, and also what is that which gives you most kind of satisfaction or happiness? What is it which makes you most miserable? These kind of elemental basic questions one needs to ask oneself, and then we write down, and then we can figure out to a great extent what is the domain. So it is not that everyone would have to go in this particular direction. Of course it is not. Everyone is unique. So what is the area where we have to work, that we have to understand. So for that, these questions are very important. And so we need to, first of all, we need to give time to ourselves. The problem today is we are unable to give time to ourselves. We get up in the morning, and by the time we realize, it's already night. So that kind of thing should not happen. We should give some time to ourselves, and these chunks of some particular minutes should be stolen away from our work day or from our learning place, whatever. We are a student or we are looking after affairs of a family, we need to 10 minutes or 5 minutes now and then, we need to be able to steal away and invest those minutes, that time, for ourselves.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there any other question, or somebody wants to share something? Smriti, do you have a question?
If possible, I can ask one more question, Swamiji.
Yeah, please.
So in order to achieve something in life, seems like we need to have confidence and we need to believe in that thing. So I recently went through one docu-series documentary series, which states that if you want something, you should believe in it and you should think about it before you even get it. Is there something like that called the law of attraction possible? Does nature help us in getting what we want? Is there something called the law of attraction?
Yeah. Nature helping us to get what we want does not mean that we don't need to do anything. We definitely need to put effort, put endeavor. We have to do a lot of hard work for nature to be supporting us. But yes, that is true that unless we believe that I am fit for this or I deserve this, it is not possible for us to attain anything. And Swami Vivekananda talks about this. He explains the Patanjali Yoga Sutras in his Raja Yoga lectures. And so there is a sutra, Prakriti Apurat. So that sutra means that Prakriti or nature, it fills. So Swamiji says that it is infilling of nature. So wherever there is something which is required, wherever there is a want, it is filled by nature. It is automatically done by nature. Of course, there should be some effort, but it is done. But then why doesn't it happen with everyone? Because we, instead of just believing and also working, instead of believing that I can attain that and working towards that direction, we fill that space, that want or that void with worries. So generally, this is what we do. Suppose somebody wants money, or somebody wants to build wealth. They do have that desire. First thing they think is that that particular thing which they are thinking that they can get wealth is something which is beyond their reach. Beyond their reach. So they cannot do that. So almost they make a fun of it that, oh, I will be wealthy, because they think they cannot be wealthy. Second thing is, if they need money, then they start worrying. A person starts worrying, oh, when will I get money, etc. So this Prakriti Apurat does not work there. So nature supports only those who have, nature is always supporting, but that support is palpable, or it is quite evident, visible, only when the person who is doing a particular thing is believing that one can attain. That person should believe that, yes, I would be able to do it. I would be able to. And another thing is that every one of us has some skill set. Every one of us has some degree of confidence. So whenever we look up to people for confidence and faith, I think we set the bar too high. We always, so it's, see, Swami Vivekananda, of course, is a very good role model. But all of us cannot become Swami Vivekananda. So Swami Vivekananda's faith or Swami Vivekananda's dynamism, even if we get say 0.0001% of that, it is enough for us. So when we set the bar, we set the benchmark so high that we think that, oh, it is not possible. And also all these, there are too many motivational videos, I think, on the internet. Too many motivational videos, like this person did this and that. So sometimes it may not be so dramatic in our lives. Sometimes what we have to do might be very normal, and it is okay to be normal. That is something which we have to understand. It is okay to be normal. Everybody need not be a superstar, has achieved something, has found one's name in the Guinness Book of World Records. Not necessary. Everybody need not be something great. One can have a short goal. One can have a goal which is doable and work from there. So confidence, the big obstacle to self-confidence is that we set the bar too high. And then we definitely are not able to achieve that. And then we think that how can. So Swamiji talks about it. He talks about Bhagavan Buddha. He says that Lord Buddha whom Swamiji liked very much. So he says that Lord Buddha, he set the ideal so high. In Buddhism, the ideal was so high that people could not attain it, and there was a lot of corruption. So the ideal should be something which is reachable, something which is doable. It should not be something like, what is the ideal today? My ideal is I will have breakfast. Not like that. But at the same time, it should not be like my ideal is to land on moon. So it should be something which is higher than the day-to-day activities. But at the same time, it should be something which is doable. Also, goal setting might involve idea. It also might involve a thing like, I have to have breakfast today, because that is also one important aspect of daily routine. So when I was talking about rest, people ignore their bodies and the minds. So people generally, you have wrong meal times, not timely meals are not there. You have untimely meals. Then you also don't have sufficient rest. So body which is tortured like that. So people, even entertainment has become like a torture now. People go, suppose somebody is watching a web series, so many seasons, so many episodes, at one stroke they are binge watching. So that is going to take a toll on your body. And then how are you going to manage it? So that is why I told in the beginning, we have to be forgiving first to ourselves. So if we forgive ourselves, then this thing happens. So first we have to have faith in ourselves, and that faith will come when we don't think that we have to become a superstar or somebody who will change the world, etc. In fact, people who really change the world, most of them did not think that they will change the world. They just took things in small bits and then proceeded from there. And that is how one can succeed in life. So does nature help us? Of course it helps us, but we need to be believing in ourselves. We need to have faith in ourselves. And also we need to let nature help us. So we need to put effort. We need to have faith. We need to have a concrete plan. And then nature's help will be available to us. So
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So nobody is talking.
Namaste, Swamiji.
Namaste, namaste.
Sorry, Swamiji, we have a question on the chat as well. So 2 questions actually.
Can you kindly say what is the difference between self-confidence and ahankara? When you think, it is very simple. When you think you can do, that is self-confidence. When you think only you can do, that is ahankara. So when you think that I can do this thing, that is self-confidence. When you think it's only you who can do this thing, that is ahankara. And when also you flaunt this self-confidence, that is not self-confidence. When you become arrogant, they click what I have done, etc. That is ahankara or pride. If we do not like a path in which we are, but if we are already in that path, for example, I don't like birds, but already completed UG in, oh, I don't like BDS. Sorry, I read it wrong. BDS means dental. But I completed UG in BDS. Then how can I leave it and take another path which I like most, Swamiji? So why don't you? Now the first question to ask is, if you don't like BDS, then why were you in the first place? If the answer is that it was because of parental pressure, of course, leave it. Why did you wait for so many years? That's my question. Leave it, because at the end of the day, it's your life. Why are you wasting your time there? But if you decided to become a dentist, and then now you have a change of mind, then that's a dangerous territory. Because then I think you have to give it some time. Give it some time. You have invested some time in BDS. Now you become a dentist, you practice or work as a dentist, and let it have some time. But if the answer to the question, why did you become a dentist in the first place, is that it was because of parental pressure, then of course you have to give it up. You just go to whatever path you like the most. because here the conflict is very apparent. It is like if somebody is keeping some food in front of you and you look at it and you know that you cannot eat it. Why are you going to eat it? Don't even try. So the two questions were from the same person, right, Smriti?
There's one more from Ranjini, Swamiji. Namaste, spiritual backup can be the remedy for this identity crisis. Please explain. The very first question.
Okay. What is the question?
Yes, I'll just read out. There are three questions from the same person. I'll just read out all the three. Namaste, spiritual backup can be the remedy for this identity crisis. Please explain. FOMO is another form of identity crisis. Swami Vivekananda says a person with ideal commits less mistake. How to set the ideal in the current media culture environment?
What is the remedy for this thing? That particular word I could not get. What is the remedy?
Yeah, Ranjini, can you just unmute yourself and just ask the question?
Namaste, Swamiji. This is Ranjini speaking.
Yeah.
Swamiji, my question was, spiritual backup can be the remedy for identity crisis. Can spiritual backup be the remedy for identity crisis?
Okay, so let me handle one question at a time. What do you mean by spiritual backup?
Swamiji, not everybody can go fully into spirituality. At least some knowledge about it, some meditation or some prayers, a habit of praying or bowing down, something like that.
So when we say spirituality, it does not mean that you give up everything and just concentrate your whole time on realizing God or something. Spirituality means the very fact that you have the sense of I, you cognize, means you can perceive I, means you have the sense of I. So you are a spiritual person, simple. So that there is no need of backup or something, like it is a backup plan or something. So if you don't meditate, everyone meditates. We don't do it voluntarily. Everyone meditates, we don't do it voluntarily. So when we say we are meditating, that means that we are voluntarily meditating. Okay, so whenever you are putting your mind to focus, that is a kind of meditation, but you're not doing, most people don't do it voluntarily. So spiritually, instead of spiritual backup, I would say that focusing on who we are, our essential nature, that means our basic nature, the nature which, for example, one aspect would be like I am a human being. It's at the very bottom of the pyramid, right? So that basis, so like that, focusing on the basis of our nature. What am I? If I am, all the coverings are removed, what am I? That to focus there. That is one very important thing to do. That's very important thing to do. So if you do that, and I think when you said spiritual backup, this is what you meant. If you do that, then of course it helps you to have better clarity of life, to deal with problems of life in a much more mature manner. Of course it does. And also to enjoy life. You see, most people who had very clear perception about themselves also had good experiences of life. They could enjoy life because they did not have anything that was pulling them back and was giving, the experience was not less. Swami Vivekananda was one person, for example. So he's traveling. So he's enjoying, he's actually traveling instead of worrying about so many things. What was the next question?
Swamiji, you told that Swami Vivekananda says that a person with ideal commits 1,000 mistakes, whereas a person without an ideal commits 10,000 mistakes.
Yes.
Currently, in this environment of media culture, where we are mostly influenced only by media, we decide our identity through media, we decide what we should be through media. How do we select the right ideal?
Yes. So there's a wonderful book that stop reading newspapers, something like that. Stop reading the news. So this news You see, one should not be conditioned by what is given to you. Just like one would not eat whatever is given to you. We definitely have some filter. We say, no, this I will not eat or something. So like that, this media, it is high time that we have to have some time or a significant time in our daily lives where we go to things which are not electronic or not digital, like a printed book, just walking, not doing anything, just sitting. All these, that's why I said very important, boredom. So this is very important. And when we do that, then we give some time to ourselves. So it has to be, it's quite easy if you think about it. You have to make it a routine. So every day I will say half an hour, I'll read a book. Book means a book which is printed on paper, not an e-book. A book, I will read a book. And also I will maybe walk. I will just sit in a place where there are birds, etc. It could be my balcony, it could be just near my house, and I will just watch the nature. Those 10 minutes or that particular time which you give, it is going to change your life. Because that is the time when you are not, once you built it into your routine, it becomes easier. That is the time when you are like, so it is necessary for us, like somebody said, they told me at that time almost as though I had committed a crime. So I used to switch off the phone during night time. So they said, why are you switching off the phone? So switching off the phone and also putting it in do not disturb mode. Might be doing that when you are in office and attending meetings. No, even otherwise, that is very important. So having some time for yourself, and that time may apparently seem as unproductive, but we do need times, some slots in our daily routine, which is apparently unproductive, because at the end of the day, that would be the time where you get a hold of yourself. Was that response helpful?
Yes, Swamiji. Thank you.
Any other question? Was there any other question?
Yes, Swamiji. Priyank, can you just unmute your
So Priyank's question I can read here. I don't know. Ranjini's question I could not. Pranam Swamiji, how to cope up at work when your efforts are not getting acknowledged and appreciated and somebody is biased for other team members? It's a very good question, because it's a very relevant question. Many people experience this. The problem is that if you are focusing on appreciation and acknowledgement, you will not get appreciation and acknowledgement. If you're focusing on your product, that means what you're delivering, that means what work you're doing, and make it more and more better, means make it the best, as best as possible. And there should be, means you should be like very good at what you're doing. So when you are able to do that, then even if somebody is biased to other team members, when a person needs to get a work done, they will definitely come to you. Then they will definitely come to you, because you cannot change biases. We cannot reform the world. Swami Vivekananda says the world is like a dog's tail. It's going to be curvy. You cannot straighten dog's tail. That's a wrong idea. We cannot. So we have to be aware of politics, etc. We should not indulge in politics, office politics. So we have to be aware who is doing what, etc. But not give more time in that gossip, and just focus on what I am doing. So maybe that particular company is not good for you. Then if you are so good in what you're doing, you will get opportunities elsewhere.
Thank you, Swamiji.
And Divya Varshini, if we are studying and sometimes if we feel our mind is blocked, then what should we do to perform best in our part? See, studies are overrated actually. Let us face it. Studies are overrated. Of course, you need a credential, you need good grades to get job, etc. But at the end of the day, nobody is asking you whether you passed your matriculation or whether how many marks you got in particular examination. everything boils down to what you feel. How do you assess your life? Are you satisfied? That's more important. Sometimes a person who is totally illiterate in the conventional sense, has not got much money, etc., that person is having his great time. And a person who has got so much wealth and so many possessions is unable to enjoy it. So what's the point? What is the point? So if you cannot enjoy, so, and if you think your mind is blocked, then do whatever you want, you like at that time. If you're a student and tomorrow is your examination, then probably that would not be a good idea. But when you start a particular course, you have so much time before the exam comes. And so you please, when you are studying, sometimes study can become too much. Like you see, three decades ago, this was not how people studied, but people did come out properly. The cutoff in colleges was not like 98% is the third cutoff or something, some crazy percentage cutoff for admission. But then too, people studied. So this is something we have artificially created as society. So we need to not give so much importance to these grades, because if these grades were very important, very great, then of course today also we will not have a huge population of engineers without work. Okay, so that is not true. Studies are not everything, or at least that they are very small part of our lives. We have to acknowledge it. And so when you are studying, also you should be aware of it. And so if your mind is blocked, probably you need to just go out of your house and just take a walk, just as they say, chill. You need to maybe just watch a movie or read a book, or just sit somewhere and have some ice cream or something, whatever you like. So there is no point in studying under pressure. Little pressure will help, but I don't think nowadays we are working with little pressure. It is too much pressure. So if you are studying something, you understand that thing, and you are studying because you need to make yourself capable to attain some job or do something, then it makes sense. But if you are studying and you feel blocked and you're unable to proceed, as mothers used to give the age-old advice, if you're unable to proceed and you feel blocked, they say just get out and just have some glass of water or tea and something, and maybe go out and have a walk, and then everything will fall into place. Arindam is asking, how can we control our feelings in order to work well, even in the midst of failures and self-doubt? So before that, Ankush has asked, how to tackle the fear of failure in life? You see, fear of failure, who says that you have failed? It is you who is saying that you have failed. So, and failure is determined with respect to who? It is with respect to your peer groups or your co-workers, your classmates, your friends, that you are saying that you have failed. Otherwise, there's nothing called failure. It's only an experience. So failure, academically you have failed means what? The questions which were asked in the examination, of those you could not give the answer. It also does not mean, see, examination is not a very good, everyone understands this now today. All academicians understand this, that examinations might not be the quite foolproof way to gauge your knowledge of a subject, because to also write in that particular time, in that particular format, might not be possible for many people. There have been geniuses who would not be able to do that, but they were great geniuses in that very field. So who says that you have failed? That's a very important thing. You are not failing unless you say that you have failed. And why would you do that? So fear of failure comes when you think that failure is the end point, the end of your life. Failure is not the end. It is just a path. So if you can understand that, then you can tackle failure. And failure makes you more capable of doing that thing. So even in examination, maybe partly funny, but maybe examination also, if you properly study for an examination and you fail, then you next time you know how the examination is there, what is the question paper, what is the format of questions, etc. So you have some extra experience. So there is failure. To brand something as failure is when we stop trying, when we stop putting in effort, then we say I have failed. That is, who has decided that? You have decided that. So the best way to tackle the fear of failure is to understand that failure is something which I decide. If I am seeing a horror movie, I get frightened because I forget that it's only a movie. The ghost is not real. So that some of that idea goes away when I see the movie. Like that, fear of failure is palpable, or it's something very concrete only when I acknowledge it. So how to control, how can we, Arindam's question, how can we control our feelings in order to work well, even in the midst of failures and self-doubt? Self-doubt is something which we have to manage. So one has to have self-confidence. Self-doubt means, see, there are two things. Doubt whether you will be able to do some work or accomplish something. Another one is self-doubt, where you are doubting yourself that you are not capable of doing anything. That I think is, that has to be overcome. That has to be overcome. But of course, there will be failures. Of course, there will be doubts whether a particular job can be done or a particular thing can be accomplished. But that is okay, as long as you are sure of the basic things in your life. Again, going to that earthquake test, or what is it you value the most? Who is it that you value the most? As long as you keep them with you. And if you value someone most, then no matter how they treat you, you need to value them the most. That's very important. So you value someone the most and they treat you very badly. So then you have to either change the person who you value most, or you have to only just show love and respect to that person. So only then we will be able to work well, even in the midst of failures. And self-doubt has to be overcome, even in the midst of failures, and also uncertainties regarding how a particular thing could be done or accomplished. We would be able to work if we are clear on the basics of what we want. We should need some knowledge to treat patients. So I'm asking in this aspect, Swamiji, can you please explain, Swamiji? Oh. Divya, can you unmute? Are you into psychological healthcare?
Swamiji, I think it was a follow-up question to her first question.
Yeah, that's what I am asking her. If Divya is there, if she can unmute and tell if she is into, yeah, she is there. Divya, can you hear me? Yeah, so I think she's, Divya, can you hear me?
She replied in the chat.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. So can you speak? Is it possible for you to talk? Oh, you are BDS. Okay. So the thing is, if you are approaching it as something which you have to help a knowledge to treat patients. So I am asking this as, okay, so you are studying to improve the knowledge to treat patients. And so I am asking in this aspect, can you please explain, Swamiji, what to do when your mind is blocked? I think that is the question you are asking. So when your mind is blocked, what to do? At that time, particularly, you have to get up. And the first point you have to remember is what you have just said, that you are studying this to treat patients. So you're studying this to give some kind of relief to patients. That is the goal. Here the goal is to give relief to patients. So when that is clear, then the urgency or the particular thing is not to get some any grade here. Here it is to help patients. So if you have to help patients, first you have to be calm. And so then you need not be blocked or something. So when your mind gets blocked, just go back to whatever condition the patient has or whatever conditions you see in your patients. And then try to trace that in your study material, the book or whatever you are using. And so that is a very good link you can establish that, yes, I want to help a particular person. And it's not just a patient, a number, but a person who comes to you with a physical problem and wants help. So when your mind gets blocked, bring the face of such person to your mind, and then the pain or the suffering, and then how to treat that person or how to relieve that person of that suffering. Then you will immediately come out of that block. Are there any other questions, Smriti?
Yes, Swami.
Yeah.
One specific question. Actually, previously my focus was good, but due to some family issues.
What is your name?
Sorry. No, my name is Kiran, Swami.
Ketan. Okay.
Kiran.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Swami. Yeah. So but due to some issues, I'm unable to concentrate on the subject, and the performance is getting degraded day by day. But actually, without my mistake, also some people, due to some other issues, they're creating controversies. How to deal with these type of things? Yes.
So, are you a student?
Yes, yes, Swami.
You're a student. So, you see, there will be always people who will. Bhartrihari, in his Niti Shataka, he says 100 verses on Niti, ethics he has written. So he talks about 4 kinds of people. First kind is the kind who do good, but for some return, means they will get something in return, so they do good. Second kind is they do good without any return, means selflessly they do good. Third kind is they do good, they do something bad in some return, for some return, means say they expect something, so they do something bad. Fourth kind is, he says, it cannot be inexplicable, means they cannot be explained. You cannot explain this nature. They do bad just for the heck of it, means they do not get anything out of it, but they do keep on harming people. They will hurt people, harm people. So we will have these 4 kinds of people all the time. All the time, there are going to be people who will cause suffering, and you will not be able to make any head and tail of it. Why are they doing? We will not be able to understand at all. So those people are going to be there. We have to come to terms with it. We cannot avoid it. They are going to be there. So if you accept it, the first point is to accept it. They are going to be there. Then the second question is, why am I focusing on them? Why am I even bothered about them? I should not be. They are doing their job. So first thing is, even the Shastras, they say, udasina, indifferent, be indifferent to them, such people. Be indifferent to them. And the moment you just ignore them, you say that no matter what they think, I'm not going to see. The best method to be free from the influence of news is to not see news. Because if news is important, like Lata Mangeshkar passed away, that will reach you anyway. that news will reach you anyway. Even if you don't read newspapers, even if you don't have any newspaper app or something, this news will anyway reach you. So whatever really matters will reach you. I don't know if Lata Mangeshkar matters to everyone, but I'm saying if it matters to you, it will reach you. And if it does not reach you, it does not matter. So to keep a tab on what other people are thinking or etc., that is our nemesis. That is going to be our problem. So we have to be very careful there. So somebody is creating problems for you, let them create. What is the problem? You keep on working on that. And so you will work so well that their attempts will simply become waste. It will fail. Now, the second aspect of the question, which you said that some problems you are yourself having. Did I understand it correctly, Kiran?
Yes, Swami, yes.
So what problems you are having, that it depends on that particular. So you have to tackle them. So again, if it is something which is created by other people, then ignore, simply ignore, be indifferent. But if it is something which you have, there can be 2-3 problems which we have already discussed, like self-doubt. You doubt whether you can do it. Or relationships could also be problem. Or you expected something, past failures or just recent failures could be a problem. So the problem with failures is better to get it out of your system. Just cry or do whatever. I'm not saying that you have, I'm just giving you a general answer. Huh? Don't get me wrong, Kiran. So just get it out of your system, have a coping mechanism, and maybe sleep for 2 days. And see, the world is not going to, we overrate things. So if you don't do something, it is not going to, that world is not going to come to an end. Sometimes we need a pause button. It is very important. We just need to press that button, pause button, and just relax. And then we can continue. So it could be a relationship issue. It could be a workplace issue. It could be something related to studies. It could be so many things. But we have to first press that pause button. That we have to do. Did this answer help you, Kiran?
Yes, Swami. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So another one question is there. Please tell me, Swamiji, what is Adhyatma in simple word? Adhyatma means that which is based on you, means that which has you as basis. Atma means self. Adhi means basis. So that which has you as basis means based on body, mind, etc. That is Adhyatma. Smriti, I think we have exceeded the time.
One question I want to ask.
Yes, please. What is your name?
My name is Kapil Kumar, and it is an incident, and I am a teacher. So I was talking to one of my students, and he told me that he would like to sleep at 4 a.m. and he woke up as per the requirement, like 8 a.m. in the morning or 3 p.m. in the evening. So I told him that this is not a good routine and daily routine to follow. But then he told me that he is okay with this, and means he can manage his work with this kind of routine. So I don't know how to make him convinced that following a good routine is very necessary. So means I would like to ask you that means what are the things we should do to do all the daily activities and also take the rest during a daily routine.
So we are as biological living beings, we are what is called diurnal, means we are human beings. The system of a human being is such that we have to wake in the daytime and sleep in the nighttime. We are not nocturnal. We are not owls or something. We are not nocturnal. So our whole body is made like that. So if we wake up we wake up in the night and we don't sleep, then the first thing which gets hit is digestive system. So first thing that person can be told this by giving that person rigorous physical work. So we can challenge, usually youth, they like to take up challenges. So we can tell that person to take part in some sports or to lift something or some such physical thing. A person who has prolonged less sleep would not be able to do average physical activity. So then you can show as a teacher that, see, this is the problem. You need rest. And any person needs 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. That's a must. And we need to have nutritious food, balanced food. That's another thing. People are making too many experiments with food these days. I will not eat that. I will not eat that. I will only eat this. So I know of kids who don't eat vegetable at all, who will only eat rice, which is nothing. Actually, it has got almost zero nutrition value because rice is polished and this and that. So many things happen, processed rice. So we need to explain to them the thing. And sometimes one needs to use a bit of persuasion or force even. I'm not talking about beating or something, but forcibly making them eat, cajoling them. convincing them, persuading them to eat, because sometimes that is the only method which works. Sometimes that's the only method which works, because once they understand that, depending on the age of the person, of course. So if the person is past adolescence, or then it is difficult also to coerce. So then you have to challenge that person, say that young person that take up this weight or work for such a time. Or one of the things which is compromised because of lack of sleep is clarity of thinking. So if you give some logical problems, some advanced problems, people who are sleep deprived, it is difficult for them to do. So if the person is able to do that, that's where that person gets this wrong idea that I'm okay, I don't need so much sleep. So then that means that person is having more than average IQ. Then we have to give the person tougher problems. So there will come a time when that person will understand that no, sleep is necessary. Sleep is of course necessary. Do we really have a free will, or we are under control of Supreme? And we heard from that they take only 2 hours rest during their sadhana days, but they go into high stage Swamiji with good intellect and so on. Can you explain? See, let me tell in the beginning itself that whoever takes very less rest, etc., what they are doing, they only know what they are doing. It could be a yogi, it could be a sadhaka, it could be a Swamiji. And they have been guided by their teachers. So let us not go there. It is their thing they are doing. Let us talk about what people generally have to do. So they go into high stage means if you do meditation, meditation itself will reduce the number of hours you need to sleep. But that is a very concentrated, intense meditation. Generally, people do meditation means they just close their eyes and their mind is wandering all the place. So that will not help you. That will not help you. So whoever Swamiji did this, probably that person went into a higher state of meditation, and so that person does not need much sleep, etc. But that is a different thing. We would not be, it's not easy to attain higher states of meditation just like that. So whatever that person is doing, let that person do. Let us not confuse. And so we have to focus on what we need to attain from our life. If that is the case, then we need, definitely we need good sleep, etc. Even for meditation, you need good sleep. Otherwise, you will end up sleeping while you think you are meditating. So Smriti, there is no other question, I think.
Yes, Swamiji. Thank you, Swamiji. It was a very inspiring
Shall
talk.
we wind up? Shall we wind up?
Yes, Swamiji. Actually, thank you, Swamiji. It was a very inspiring talk, and the Q&A session was really very insightful. Now we'll just have a short thank you note from Bhagini Ranjini, who is actually a brahmacharini from Sri Mata Sharada Ashrama Hoskote. Ranjini?
Smriti Akka, I'm on. Thank you for this wonderful question answer session, Swamiji. Most of the thing what we won't realize was that one thing what you told, it is okay to be normal. The FOMO basically arises when we try to normalize ourselves with the social media or whatever happening around us. But you gave us a wonderful message by saying it is okay to be normal. And you also gave a wonderful point that we have to be sure what we are doing rather than trying to normalize ourselves with what others are doing. With that, and also you gave us a wonderful point on not to do multitasking and have proper sleep. Previously, people could not sleep properly because they would suffer from insomnia. But today, because of internet and to keep up the data, everyday data things, they aren't having proper sleeps. And also the proper company, which is very necessary to keep ourselves away from this peer pressure or the FOMO which is happening. Thank you for the wonderful session and also the questions which are arising. You gave a wonderful analyzation for our doubts and things. Thank you, Swamiji. And thank you, Smriti Akka, for giving me this chance of giving a thank you note on this wonderful session.
Thank you, Ranjini. I just want to make two announcements. We'll share Swamiji's email ID on the group. So if you have further questions and if you would like to contact Swamiji, please send an email to Swamiji. And another thing is we'll also share a feedback form. So we would like you to just, it will not take more than 2 minutes, just fill up the feedback form so that we come to know what went well, what didn't go well, or what are the other topics that you would like to have sessions on. Thank you all. Thank you, Swamiji.
And we will have a video of this on YouTube, no? Hello?
Yes, Swamiji, the recording will be shared.
Yeah, the recording will be shared on YouTube. Unfortunately, this live stream thing did not happen. We had some technical problem, but like the recording will be shared. So we will pass on a link. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thanks all. Jai Ramakrishna.
Namaste.
Thank you.